Hi everyone, welcome to English Story School, where every story is a stepping stone to mastering English. Let's turn learning into an adventure. Have you ever felt like you're constantly running around, checking off tasks, but still feeling like you're getting nowhere? I've been there, so many times. There was a point in my life when I believed that success meant doing more. More work, more meetings, more multitasking. The harder I worked, the more results I thought I'd see. But here's the kicker. What if I told you that doing less could actually bring you more success? Sounds a bit wild, right? I thought so too, until I discovered the truth that completely flipped my perspective. A few years ago, I found myself trapped in what I call the busy trap. I was constantly hustling, but getting nowhere. My to-do list was endless, and no matter how fast I worked, there was always more to do. I was stuck on a treadmill, running faster, but not making progress. The more I did, the less I actually accomplished. It was like I was speeding up, but not moving forward. I was checking off tasks, but the finish line never came. It's funny how life can sometimes come to a grinding halt just when you need it the most. You could be in the middle of a bustling day, juggling 1,000 things, feeling like the weight of the world is on your shoulders, and then bam, everything slows down. There's a shift, a change, a moment where everything makes sense, even though you weren't expecting it. That's exactly what happened to me. I was in the thick of it, overwhelmed, burned out, spinning my wheels, and trying to do everything all at once. The more I tried, the more frustrated I became. I was running on empty, constantly checking off tasks and chasing the never-ending to-do list, yet feeling like I was getting nowhere. It was exhausting. But then, in a quiet moment, a thought struck me. What if the problem wasn't that I wasn't working hard enough, but that I was working on the wrong things? The question hung in the air like a sudden gust of wind, stopping me in my tracks. For the first time in ages, I realized that I had been approaching the entire situation the wrong way. I had been spreading myself too thin, running in circles, trying to chase after every opportunity, task, and project that came my way. But in doing so, I had lost sight of the bigger picture. I was so busy being busy that I wasn't truly being productive. What if, instead of doing more, I could do less, and in doing so, achieve more? The thought was both exhilarating and terrifying at the same time. It felt like an epiphany, but also like a rebellion against everything I had ever been taught. After all, aren't we all conditioned to believe that success comes from doing more? More work, more hustle, more sacrifices. It's hard to break free from that mindset, but at that moment, I realized the truth. Less can actually be more. I began to question everything. What if I could be more strategic with my time and energy? What if I could identify the one thing that would truly move the needle forward, rather than trying to tackle everything at once? I thought about the things that mattered most to me, my long-term goals, the projects that I was truly passionate about, and the impact I wanted to make. Suddenly, the fog began to lift, and I could see clearly. Instead of getting distracted by a dozen different tasks that were pulling me in a million directions, I decided to focus on the one thing that would have the greatest impact. I asked myself, what's the most important thing I can do right now that will move me closer to my vision? That question became my North Star. And guess what? As soon as I honed in on it, everything started to shift. By doing less, I was able to dive deeper into the things that really mattered. I stopped dividing my attention between a million different things, and instead, I channeled all my energy into just a few key actions that aligned with my goals. The result? I started seeing more progress in less time. Ideas flowed more easily. The tasks I used to procrastinate on now seemed effortless. And most importantly, I started feeling in control of my time and my life again. This was the turning point. It was like I had discovered a secret that had been hiding in plain sight all along. Doing less doesn't mean being lazy. It means being intentional. And the best part? This intentionality didn't just help me achieve more in my professional life. It spilled over into every other aspect of my world. My relationships improved because I wasn't scattered all over the place. My creativity surged because I was giving myself the space to think clearly. And my mental well-being skyrocketed because I wasn't drowning in an ocean of responsibilities. For the first time in a long time, I realized that I didn't need to be constantly hustling to feel successful. The magic happened when I stopped fighting against the current and started flowing with it. By focusing on the essential things that move me forward, I was able to do more, with less effort. It was a moment of clarity that changed everything. I stopped chasing after every shiny object that distracted me. Instead, I aligned my efforts with the things that truly mattered, the things that would take me closer to the life I wanted to create. And in doing so, I found that progress wasn't just possible, it was inevitable. This shift in perspective didn't just feel like a weight lifting off my shoulders, it felt like a complete transformation. I began to understand that working harder wasn't the answer. Working smarter was, and working smarter didn't mean cramming more tasks into my day or pushing myself to the limit. It meant prioritizing the right things, saying no to distractions, and being fully present in everything I did. The most important lesson I learned was this: doing less with more focus actually led to greater results. I wasn't juggling a million different things. I wasn't burning the candle at both ends. I was doing the few things that truly mattered, and I was doing them well. In the end, it all came down to this: focus. By narrowing my focus and cutting out the noise, I was able to channel my energy into what really counted. And the return on that investment? Far greater than anything I could have ever imagined. So the next time you find yourself feeling overwhelmed by your to-do list, remember this: less is not a bad thing. In fact, it might just be the secret ingredient you've been missing. Ask yourself, what's the one thing I can do right now that will make the biggest impact? And then pour all your energy into that. You'll be amazed at how much more you can achieve by doing less, but doing it with purpose, focus, and clarity. This moment of clarity was a game changer, and I'm so grateful for it. Because sometimes the greatest breakthroughs come when we stop trying to do everything and focus on what truly matters. In a world that's constantly pulling us in 1,000 different directions, it's easy to fall into the trap of thinking that the more we do, the more successful we'll be. We've all been there, haven't we? The frantic rush of checking off tasks, hopping from one project to the next, and juggling responsibilities, all while desperately trying to keep up. We multitask, we hustle, we strive, and yet somehow things don't seem to get better. The truth is, there's a hidden beauty in focusing on less. When you shift your attention and energy from doing everything to doing the right things, you unlock a level of presence and productivity that simply can't be achieved by doing it all. You're working on something that truly matters, something you're passionate about, and for the first time in ages, you're fully immersed in it. Your mind isn't wandering to the 50 other things on your to-do list. There's no anxiety about upcoming meetings or thoughts about that email you still need to send. In that moment, you're not split between 100 distractions. You're there, 100% in the zone. You're present. This is the beauty of focusing on less. By choosing just a few key tasks to focus on, you open up a mental space where you can dive deeply into what you're doing. It's like having a clear, uncluttered workspace. Your mind is free to think, create, and problem solve without the constant hum of distractions. You can enter a flow state where everything feels effortless and ideas seem to come to you without having to chase them. When you're truly focused on just one thing, you don't have to worry about dividing your attention. You can give your work all the care, creativity, and energy it deserves. And when you do that, you're not just checking boxes off a list, you're making each task better, each moment more impactful. You start seeing improvements not just in the quantity of your work, but in its quality. Your ideas become sharper, more innovative, and your confidence grows because you're no longer worried about spreading yourself thin. You're actually mastering the art of doing the work that matters. Think about it this way. When you multitask, you're essentially scattering your energy like 1,000 little sparks, each one too small to create any real fire. You may feel productive. After all, you're getting a lot done, right? But is the quality of your work really there? When your focus is spread so thin, it's impossible to go deep into any one task and truly explore its full potential. You might be able to finish a lot of things, but none of them feel truly significant. Now contrast that with focusing on just one thing at a time. When you pour all your energy into that one task, it's like feeding the fire with everything you've got. Instead of lighting 100 candles that burn out quickly, you're fueling one blazing bonfire. Your ideas become clearer, your execution sharper, and the outcome is far more powerful. When you focus, you're not just skimming the surface, you're digging deep, uncovering new insights, and making real progress. This is the magic of focusing on fewer things with full commitment. You allow yourself the space to explore, the time to make mistakes and learn, and the mental energy to bring your creativity to the forefront. The result? A product of work that is far richer, deeper, and more impactful than if you had tried to balance 100 tasks at once. Let's talk about the return on investment here, because let's face it, we all want to see that payoff. When you give something your undivided attention, the results speak for themselves. It's the difference between just getting things done and doing them exceptionally well. Your work will improve in ways you didn't even imagine. The clarity you gain from focusing on one thing will help you come up with better ideas, solve problems faster, and come to more insightful conclusions. And let's not forget the confidence boost that comes with it. When you know you're putting your best effort into something, you feel proud of the outcome. But here's the secret. That kind of success doesn't come from trying to do everything. It comes from being intentional with your time and energy. It comes from saying, I'm going to give this one thing my full attention right now, because it deserves my best. What's incredible is that the more you practice this, the more natural it becomes to focus deeply. And the more deeply you focus, the more accomplished you'll feel, because you're not just multitasking your way through life. You're mastering what you choose to engage with. It's a shift in mindset, from doing more to doing what matters. And that's where the true power lies. In today's fast-paced world, we often find ourselves caught in a whirlwind of tasks, to-do lists that never seem to end, and endless distractions that constantly pull us in different directions. We've all been there, trying to juggle multiple projects, sending emails while on calls, attending meetings while checking messages, and all the while thinking, the more I do, the more I'll accomplish. But here's the twist. The more you try to do, the less you end up achieving. It sounds counterintuitive, but what if I told you that by focusing on less, you could elevate your productivity and achieve far more than you ever could by trying to do it all? It's time to rethink the concept of productivity. It's not about doing everything, it's about doing the right things well. When you focus on less, you unlock a level of efficiency and creativity that turns your work into something truly remarkable. At first glance, focusing on less may seem like you're simplifying your workload, but in reality, you're doing so much more than that. You're elevating your productivity by choosing to focus on the tasks that matter most, the ones that will actually move the needle forward. Rather than being overwhelmed by a list of endless tasks, you're making intentional decisions about where to spend your time and energy. Here's where the magic happens. When you focus on fewer things, you allow yourself the space to do them better. You no longer feel the need to rush through tasks, skimming the surface of everything you touch. Instead, you're putting your full attention, energy, and creativity into the work that truly matters. And guess what? This produces higher quality results. It's not about doing more. It's about doing what you do with excellence. Think about the difference between churning out 10 half-finished tasks and giving your full attention to one important task. The latter allows you to dive deep, refine your ideas, and produce something exceptional. That's the true meaning of productivity, creating value, not just checking boxes. When you're not constantly juggling a million things at once, something remarkable happens. You begin to feel more energized. It may sound like a paradox, but the more you focus on less, the more your energy multiplies. Why? Because when you give your full attention to just a few key tasks, you're not burning yourself out with constant distractions. You're not feeling the pressure of a never-ending to-do list or the stress of having too many balls in the air. You're able to stay engaged and motivated because you're working on things that truly matter to you, that challenge you, and that excite you. This focused approach doesn't just make you more productive, it makes the work feel more meaningful. Instead of dragging yourself from one task to the next, you're energized by the process. You're excited to take on challenges, knowing that every step you take brings you closer to your goals. The difference between feeling drained by endless tasks and being fueled by the work you're doing is monumental. The more you focus on what's truly important, the more inspired and productive you become. Next time you're feeling overwhelmed by a mountain of tasks, try something different. Take a step back and ask yourself, what's the one thing I can focus on right now that will have the biggest impact? This simple question has the power to transform your approach to productivity. By asking yourself this, you begin to shift your focus from quantity to quality. You stop worrying about how many things you need to do, and instead, you focus on the one thing that truly matters, the thing that will move you closer to your big goals. When you prioritize the tasks that make the biggest difference, you stop getting caught up in the noise. You stop spending time on tasks that might feel urgent but don't actually move the needle. You stop letting the distractions of the day-to-day crowd out your creative potential. Instead, you begin to work with intention, putting your time and energy into the things that will truly create lasting results. And that's where the magic happens. The return on that investment of time and focus, it's more than worth it. You don't just get things done, you create something extraordinary. When you focus on less, you unlock a deeper level of creativity and potential within yourself. The beauty of this approach is that it doesn't just lead to more productivity, it leads to more meaningful work. Work that challenges you, work that pushes your boundaries, work that excites you, fills you with passion, and drives you to keep going. And this, in turn, fuels your confidence. As you focus on fewer tasks and do them with excellence, you begin to see the fruits of your labor in ways that truly matter. You no longer feel bogged down by the pressure of doing everything at once. Instead, you feel empowered, knowing that you're making real progress with the time and energy you've invested. The results speak for themselves. Your work improves, your ideas become clearer, and you achieve more than you ever thought possible. This is the true essence of productivity. It's not about doing more. It's about focusing on what matters, diving deep, and doing it well. And when you embrace this mindset, you unlock your full potential, not only as a worker, but as a creator, a thinker, and a leader. By focusing on less, you're not just simplifying your workload, you're reshaping your entire approach to work and life. You're creating space for what matters, pushing aside the distractions, and prioritizing what will have the most significant impact on your goals. And in doing so, you'll find that you don't just get things done, you create something extraordinary. So the next time you find yourself overwhelmed by an endless list of things to do, take a step back. Ask yourself, what's the one thing I can focus on that will make the biggest difference? And then, give it your all. The rewards will come, not just in the form of productivity, but in the form of personal satisfaction, creative breakthroughs, and a sense of accomplishment that no multitasking can provide. Remember, productivity isn't about doing more. It's about doing less, but doing it better. And when you make that shift, you'll see just how much more you can achieve. You won't just complete tasks, you'll master them. And that's where greatness lies. We all know the feeling, the to-do list that keeps growing longer, the constant stream of emails, meetings, and obligations. It's so easy to get caught up in the whirlwind of life, thinking that the more we do, the more we'll achieve. But what if the secret to true success wasn't doing more? What if it was, in fact, about doing less, but doing it with purpose, focus, and intentionality? This is the mindset shift that transformed my life, and I believe it can do the same for you. Then one day, it hit me like a bolt of lightning. What if the problem wasn't that I wasn't working hard enough, but that I was working on the wrong things? What if I didn't need to do more, but needed to focus on doing less, on the right things? This realization was a game changer. I realized that by saying yes to everything, I was saying no to the things that truly mattered. Every time I took on a new task or opportunity that didn't align with my bigger goals, I was scattering my energy, my focus, and my time. It wasn't that I was lazy or unmotivated. It was that I wasn't putting my energy into the right places. It wasn't about doing more. It was about doing less, but doing it better. By cutting out the noise, I created space for what mattered most. And that's when everything started clicking into place. It was like I was suddenly able to see the path clearly, and I wasn't stumbling over obstacles anymore. The work that I did felt easier. I wasn't forcing it. I wasn't stretched thin, trying to please everyone and do everything. I was in control. I felt a sense of calm that had eluded me for so long. And the best part? I started to see real, tangible progress. This shift wasn't just about productivity. It was about purpose. Instead of filling my day with a million small tasks that didn't move me forward, I began asking myself a simple yet profound question. What's the one thing I can do right now that will make the biggest impact? This question became my compass. It helped me cut through the clutter, prioritize the important, and let go of everything that wasn't aligned with my goals. And let me tell you, when you focus on that one thing, the results speak for themselves. When you stop trying to do everything, you free yourself from the chains of multitasking and distraction. You give yourself permission to focus, to breathe, and to fully immerse yourself in the task at hand. The result? You'll be amazed at how much more you can accomplish by doing less, by doing it with purpose, clarity, and energy. Here's the key takeaway. Focusing on less doesn't mean you're doing less work. It means you're doing more of the right work. The work that aligns with your deepest values, your bigger goals, and your truest passions. By saying no to the noise, you make room for what matters. And that's when everything starts to fall into place. When you focus on the one thing that will make the biggest impact, you stop feeling like you're constantly fighting an uphill battle. You stop feeling like you're treading water, struggling to keep up. Instead, you feel in control, energized, and empowered. You see progress, and that progress becomes its own reward. So the next time you're feeling overwhelmed, take a moment to reflect. Ask yourself, what's the one thing I can do right now that will have the greatest impact? Focus on that. Let go of everything else, and watch as your world shifts in the most magical, rewarding way possible. But hold on, the story doesn't end there. There was another huge shift that took things to the next level, learning the power of the word no. For most of my life, I was a yes man. I thought saying yes to everything would open more doors, more chances, more opportunities. I was constantly stretching myself thin, attending meetings, accepting invitations, helping with favors. But over time, I realized that every yes to something that didn't align with my goals was actually a no to something that really mattered. I was giving my time away to distractions that didn't move me closer to my bigger purpose. Learning to say no was a game changer. It wasn't easy at first, though. The fear of missing out, the FOMO, was real. But once I started saying no to the things that didn't serve my bigger vision, I felt a sense of freedom. I wasn't overwhelmed by a never-ending list of commitments anymore. Instead, I was free to focus on the things that truly mattered. And the results? Incredible. At first, I thought rest meant doing less of everything. After all, we've all been taught that to succeed, we need to keep hustling, keep grinding. Resting felt like the complete opposite of everything I'd been conditioned to believe. But here's the surprising truth. Rest isn't just a luxury, it's an absolute necessity. When I finally gave myself permission to rest, something amazing happened. For the first time in forever, I didn't feel like I was running on fumes. I felt refreshed, more energized, and my creativity soared. Rest unlocked a surge of creativity that I didn't even know I had been missing. I wasn't just checking things off a list. I was engaged with my work in a way I hadn't been in a long time. Rest also sharpened my focus. When I returned to my tasks after taking a proper break, I was able to dive into them with laser-like precision. I wasn't distracted by mental fatigue or stress. I was fully present, ready to tackle whatever was in front of me. The results? I completed work faster and with far better quality. Rest wasn't a waste of time. It was a vital part of the process. So here's the advice. If you're constantly grinding, pushing yourself to the limit, give yourself permission to rest. It's not a reward after you've earned it. It's a necessity that allows you to perform at your highest level. Rest gives you the space to reset. So when you do get back to your tasks, you're not just going through the motions, you're working at your highest potential. So, how can you apply this do less, achieve more mindset to your own life? Start small. Look at your day and ask, what can I eliminate? What's really necessary? Can you delegate tasks or skip a few emails? By identifying what doesn't serve your bigger goals, you'll open up space for what truly matters. At the end of the day, do less, achieve more is about being intentional with your time. It's about focusing on the right things, saying no to distractions, and making sure you have the mental space to recharge. And trust me, once you start embracing this mindset, you'll be amazed at how much more you can accomplish with less effort. With that said, thanks for watching, and until the next time.